I want to give color on why the FBI, why Comey had to do that last week.
Yeah, please do.
Because of Wienergate and the sexting scandal, the NYPD started investigating it. Through a subpoena, through a warrant, they searched his laptop and sure enough found those 650,000 emails. They found way more stuff than just more information pertaining to the inappropriate sexting the guy was doing. They found State Department emails. They found a lot of other really damning criminal information, including money laundering, including the fact that Hillary went to this sex island with convicted pedophile Jeffrey Epstein. Bill Clinton went there more than 20 times. Hillary Clinton went there at least 6 times. The amount of garbage that they found in these emails of criminal activity by Hillary, by her immediate circle, and even by other Democratic members of Congress was so disgusting. They gave it to the FBI, and they said, we're going to go public with this if you don't reopen the investigation and you don't do the right thing with timely indictments. NYPD wanted to do a press conference announcing the warrants and the additional arrests they were making in this investigation, and they've gotten huge pushback to the point of coercion from the Justice Department, with the Justice Department threatening to charge someone that had been unrelated in the accidental heart attack death of Eric Garner, the guy almost 2 years ago.
It was a horrific, it was used as a sort of a tool by the Obama administration to basically sever the country in half and continue the anti-police sentiment. And it was a horrible tragedy. The fact that it appears it was used as leverage to conceal what was found on that laptop, and the fact that there was clearly some sort of a battle going on between the NYPD, the New York FBI, and the Justice Department at the highest levels. For Loretta Lynch to get on that call to me was just like, wow. McCabe admonishes the New York FBI for his leak. These guys inside of the Justice Department, inside of, their internal investigators were investigating other leaks, and then this one came up. So they started investigating this internally, separately from the actual IG's office, who were at the time investigating the Peter Strzok, Lisa Page text messages. So McCabe's being questioned by the INSD, I believe it is, inside of the department about this. They think he's a victim. They're like, he says, I have no idea how this happened. I don't know. I talked to a few people about it. It's a horrible thing that it happened. They make him initial the article from the Wall Street Journal that was in question. And then they send him a sworn statement for him to sign saying, basically, I'm not sure how this happened and all the stuff they were interviewed on. And he ignores it for a month. They send it back to him again, but accidentally send it to someone else. He responds to that email by saying, you have my email address wrong. This is my email address, but never acknowledges the statement that's attached to the email. And when they talk to Lisa Page, and Lisa Page says, he told me to leak this to the Wall Street Journal, they go back into his office and say, let's re-question you about this. He ponies up and tells the truth. And then they're like, we've been poking around in here, trying to figure out who leaked this information in your department of what's supposed to be like trusted, upstanding individuals, looking for who did this. And it was you the entire time. We've spent nights and weekends on this case. And it was you. And he said, they explained it. He looked down and said, yeah, I know, I'm sorry. Like that.
Exactly. And what you're referring to, what Tracy's referring to, is the larger findings of the Inspector General, the report that was issued, that written in February 2018, released last week, the McCabe leaking and then denying it and then finally fessing up to it. That's what you're referring to. And then spun off from that, just to be clear, because we're talking about a couple of different things here. Everyone understood the McCabe lied, period. Lack of candor, BS. He lied. He lied 3 times and got caught in it. That's what the IG's report was.
Okay. So basically inside of this, while McCabe is on the phone, what they call a hastily convened conference call with Loretta Lynch and the director of the New York field office of the FBI. In the OIG report, it says that they had a very heated conversation about the leaks that were coming out of the New York field office in regards to the case of Eric Garner. And Loretta Lynch, McCabe said, had never used stronger language. So on September 28th, 2016, McCabe is made aware of information that they found regarding Hillary Clinton on Anthony Weiner's laptop in an unrelated sexting case they're investigating. So basically, the NYPD comes across all these emails on Weiner's laptop, and they go to the FBI with the information, and they find a whole bunch of other stuff on there as well. And McCabe, amongst other atrocities, sits on the information for an entire month before there begins to be some unrest within the police department. Like, what's going on here? Where the FBI is like, what's going on here? The agents on staff at the NYPD and the FBI, they get restless about what's on the computer and how come it's not being investigated and something's not being done. On October 24th, 2016, Loretta Lynch swaps out the federal investigative team that's looking into the officers who were responsible for the Eric Garner case. And so she takes the team from the federal government that's looking for criminality on the part of these police officers in accidentally killing Eric Garner, and she swaps them out with a new team. And the news reports at that time that it's likely because they're not finding anything in terms of prosecutory, action, and they want to bring a case forward against the officers. A Staten Island grand jury separately had heard this and failed to indict any of the officers for any crimes. The federal government took over, and this was the investigation that was swapped. She swapped the team out on. It was a heated thing for the New York Police Department, and it was used as kind of like a national beacon of race relations and the police between, Black individuals.
No small matter, especially at that time. That's right.
Yeah, it was massive. It really was. In the OIG report on McCabe's leaks to the Wall Street Journal, it states that on October 26th, which is 2 days after she swapped this team out, McCabe and the New York director of the FBI participate in, again, a hastily convened conference call with Loretta Lynch, who delivers the same message about leaks, but focuses on leaks in the Eric Garner case. And I was like, that doesn't make any sense. So it's very interesting she'd even be on the call, and it's very interesting that they're admonishing the FBI in New York for leaks, especially if they're supposed to be about the Wall Street Journal article. And later noted in the report, the officers in New York are like, we don't even know, the stuff that leaked. We would have no way of knowing that anyway. Why are you blaming us for it? So the same day as that call, the 26th, Rudy Giuliani is on Fox News and all of the MSM floating like some big October surprise that's supposed to come out in the next few days. And so to recap, McCabe and Lynch are admonishing the New York field office about leaks they didn't make while talking about Garner. And 2 days after that call, Jim Comey sends his letter to Congress announcing that they're reopening the Clinton email investigation. So obviously there's some leverage here. Like the police and the FBI are saying, we know what's on this laptop and you guys better do something about it. Otherwise, we're going to go public with this stuff. And that's what Eric Prince was basically saying. On November 1st, McCabe recused himself from anything having to do with anything Clinton, the foundation investigation, the email investigation, any of it. And then Eric Prince goes on the radio. I believe it was the 4th. November
4th. Yep. On Breitbart News. November 4th.
On Breitbart News. Yep. This is the first appearance that Eric Prince makes in years. He has his own story, a crazy story. So he goes on Breitbart News and he's asked a question about state secrets being stolen by foreign governments. And he says, I want to talk about what's on the Weiner in a separate case in the Weiner laptop. And in the very beginning of that interview, he says that the blowback they're getting from Maine Justice about investigating and indicting on what's on that laptop has been so massive. And as a matter of fact, he says they're using the Eric Garner case as like a blackmailing tool. So not even a week after, we now know for a fact from the OIG that there was this conversation between Lynch, McCabe, and the FBI in New York, where they admit in the OIG report, they talk about Eric Garner. We have Eric Prince on an interview saying, the cops told me, a very well-placed source told me, that they were threatening them with the Eric Garner case should they do anything about this. So everything that follows after that in Eric Prince's interview is now basically valid because he was obviously telling the truth about the Garner case.
There's two things going on. Over here, on one side is the NYPD FBI task force going into Weiner Abedin's home, taking the laptop and other devices, and that's important. It's more than one device. And the findings from NYPD specifically, as well as some of the FBI agents, of over 650,000 emails, documents, classified information, and repulsive information on Weiner/Abedin's equipment. The other case is the Eric Garner case, 2 years previous that resulted in the death of Eric Garner. That was a civil rights case. Again, Lynch, Department of Justice, both sides. NYPD says we got what we found on Weiner Abedin laptop and the devices. It's incredibly, it's sick stuff. We want this. We're preparing for indictments. Yep. Lynch is saying no, and they're pressing. NYPD's pressing. So what Lynch does is basically goes to the NYPD, FBI, white hats there, and says, "Tell you what, you press forward on this, on the Weiner Abedin stuff. We are going to ruin you, basically, each one of you." It goes back to the Garner case and the Abedin and Weiner case. So the two cases, as you said, she leveraged destroying the careers of NYPD officers and families and such. So they did not release the information on the Weiner Abedin laptop.
Certainly appears that that's absolutely exactly what happened. Yes. And it's disgusting.
It's like, my goodness, how do we keep up with all this? So, I mean, in a nutshell, that's what it was. But see, the information I got, and this is me saying this, not Tracy, this is me. Information I got at the time was the NYPD was going to release this information from the Huma Abedin, Anthony Weiner laptop and other devices to, if the justice was not going to do it, they were going to do it independently. Lynch comes in, and this is, again, these are my words based on my source, saying, essentially, you do that, your families are toast. You can find them in the East River, and of course Eric Prince had basically said the same thing, except not so colorful, and that's what the OIG report suggests. The threats, that is, the fact that the OIG report mentions it, to me, says that, boy, they're really looking at other things as well.
Just in context, this literally was the only reason why the OIG actually ended up investigating McCabe on this leak. This is only about one leak. This is not about anything else, this report. The only reason why they ended up investigating him on this, they were already investigating, putting him under oath and everything on different topics in their main report. But when the INSD inside of the FBI that was doing the investigation internally to figure out who was leaking realized it was McCabe, their boss, who was doing the leaking, they couldn't investigate him anymore. So they had to hand it off to the Inspector General, who was already asking him questions about the struck texts. And it's in there too. They talk about this in the page struck text. It says, looks like they found something other than emails on Weiner's laptop. Looks like he's having a relationship with a minor in so many words. So these are all it's all a big web and everything. If you look at the rebuttals, like McCabe's attorneys came at the IG with all these reasons why, what they were doing wasn't correct and how they were wrong. And they destroy McCabe's attorney with facts and detail. I was like, thank God a government agency actually doing the right thing with a report. Now, they have no prosecutorial power, so it's up to, discretion who does what with it, right? So
that's right.
They prepare the report, they forward it to the right people, and then those people have to take action on it, which is why it makes me feel really good that there is a U.S. attorney working in tandem with Horowitz on this OIG report in Utah. And
that would be John Huber.
Yeah.
Excuse me, and he's been working now for a number of months, just disclosed here a month or so ago, and that would expand the reach of the IG to those outside or having retired or quit or otherwise moved on from the Department of Justice and FBI. So this is phenomenal. And Huber can also get into the Sally Yates had put up a wall. Folks understand this. The Department of Justice has numerous divisions. One of them is the National Security Division. That was headed up by McCord and Carlin. I know these names, you're going to forget the names, but if you can, remember the names. Sally Yates was the person who said there will be no Inspector General oversight within the National Security Division of the Department of Justice. Huber, by coming in working with Horowitz, now kind of circumvents that fictitious wall or that wall that was put up by Yates.
There was no U.S. attorney in the Benghazi scandal. There was no U.S. attorney in the Fast and Furious scandal. There was no U.S. attorney assigned to any other of the IG investigations that had come out. So